Okay, make sure and count me down before we're going. What? Wait, what do you mean we're going right now? We're going right now? We've started? We're recording. We're not live, but we're recording. Oh, okay. All right. So let's get started. Hi. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is I, Rusty Shackelford, aka Philip Boyset. Wait a minute. Was that right? Yeah, I think I did that right. So today I have a couple of monsters to introduce you to, especially this little monster right here. Say hello, Ruckus. Hi, Ruckus. Never mind him. He's shy. This is the new lead producer of the show. So yeah, the guys up at the network have decided that the Rusty Shackelford YouTube equipment review survival channel is not going as well as we would hoped it would over the time period that we have been on the air. So they have sent a new lead producer. This is Ruckus, and Ruckus will be more or less in the background from now on. You'll see him from time to time, even though you're not supposed to. As a matter of fact, hey Ruckus, we got to get out of here. Come on, Ruckus. No, Ruckus, you can't hog the show. No, Ruckus, I'm the star of the show. It's my turn. I can't even be in front of this camera. It's a webcam. I'm already losing out. Come on, go back there. Put on your headphones. All right. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. So we're back. So that's the first little monster I wanted to introduce you to. But before I introduce you to this little monster, I want to talk about what happened to this monstrosity. So in previous videos, I tried to articulate what was going on with this guy, and I was a little befuddled, and I bumbled around my videos, so I tried to write some notes. So I'm going to just plain, simply, quickly go over what happened to this gun, and we'll go from there. So, as I've said before, I really like this gun. I only got to play games with it for a little while. However, I got a lot of backyard plinking and a lot of fun with it, even when I wasn't playing games with it. But one of the first things that happened was I realized the sling attachment point on the back of the gun where you're supposed to use a quick detach sling attachment point, it didn't work. And I don't even remember if the one on the buttstock worked, but it was really plasticky and I didn't trust it anyways because I just thought it was going to break, and the buttstock broke anyways. The little trap door on the buttstock that held the battery broke off. I had to tape it in place to use it, and I inevitably just replaced it with the G&G Combat Machine SOP mod clone that was on my G&G Mark 18 clone. So, and on top of that, the buffer tube was super loose. It would just loosen up really, really fast for like no reason at all. So those are the first problems I had. The other problems I ended up having, of course, I've talked about that Surefire dual fuel. It never worked. They said they would warranty it. They sent me an RMA, but I've just been super sour about wanting to do anything with it. I really just want to replace the head on it. Whole nother story, probably a whole nother video. But after that, I went playing with this guy through the summer. Forgot a battery one day. Got loaned a battery. I don't know if it was the wrong kind of battery, but something happened where the fuse on this guy got blown. I was super scared because I thought I had blown the MOSFET and or the gearbox. So I talked to the techs, and the tech said, no, you blew a fuse, just go get one from Napa. Blasey, fixed that, got back in the action. So that was early summertime, maybe late spring, and then trucking on into October, I had a problem that I knew was going to be a problem that I was warned about ahead of time, but the safety selector switch got loose. The screw that holds it to the plate on the inside of the receiver came undone, and the little plate that's supposed to articulate your fire modes from safe to semi to auto wouldn't go back into safe. So I would put the gun back on safe and pull the trigger, and it would still fire. So I knew I had to pull it apart to fix that at least, but when I pulled it apart, I found out that the wires going to the fuse box the wires going to the motor had fused themselves to the motor. I can't remember which one, if it was the positive or the negative, but one of them had fused itself to the motor, and I had to cut it off in order to get the motor out of the pistol grip. And then when I had the motor out of the pistol grip and the gearbox out of the gun. I looked inside the gearbox area where the gear on the motor meets the gears in the gearbox, and I noticed it was chewing up the positive wire. As a matter of fact, the positive wire is completely broken off because of that. So that gearbox needs to be rewired at least, and the motor needs to be replaced. So therefore, yeah, I have a broken gun. Very unfortunate, because I really like the way it performed all the way up to the point it broke. So that leads me to the next chapter in this story. And I'm going to go ahead and say their name, because I'm not going to say anything untrue or untoward about them. But I went to e-bike to get replacement parts. I didn't hear back from the tech before I placed my order, but I got some of the correct parts and some of the incorrect parts. I got the correct motor, I got the correct gearbox, but I did not get the correct buffer tube, QD plate, buttstock. I got the correct safety because I was going to replace the safety. So I got all that stuff, and I heard back from the tech after my order had already shipped that no, some of those were not the right parts. And I kind of went back and forth about trying to get the right parts, and finally I just submitted and said, I am going to send this stuff right back to you guys for an in-store credit. And they said that's fine. So instead I got that optics package I was talking about in, or not optics, a sight laser riser package that I talked about in a previous video, which we will get into later. But either way, more or less in time right now, this is getting shelved. I'll go over more of the details really quick here. So let's go through. And by the way, this is an airsoft replica. This is not a real gun. So if I start saying numbers with dollar signs next to them, I'm not talking about real gun sales. This is the airsoft replica. Yeah, I don't need to go ad nauseum about that. But when I bought the replacement parts to just simply refurbish this gun, the cost was around $300. I don't know how much, if it would be cheaper to just rewire the gearbox rather than replace it, but when I tried to replace it, it was in the neighborhood of $300. So, and of course, that didn't work out because I got a bunch of the incorrect parts. But if I wanted to get the correct parts, I could imagine it could be anywhere between $250 to $300, especially in considering, are we replacing the gearbox or just replacing the wires in the gearbox? So that's a no-go. The next best ideas I had were to try to get e-bike to consider putting this in their EPS upgrade program. I sourced some of the parts because they have some of the parts listed. Not very clearly, sorry. But I went through the list of parts and I factored in gunsmithing, and that's going to come to about $450 plus. But $450 plus for a hot rodded AEG would be awesome. Another option I thought about is the Polar Star HPA revamp, the Kythera and the UGS buttstock. Sorry if I said those wrong. The one that allows me to have a CO2 cartridge in the buttstock of the gun and use it that way. But that's going to cost $554 plus. I think that's just parts. I'm probably going to have to get a tech to do that. So those options are all off the table. So here's the problem. This just another one of these without batteries, without chargers, without BBs, without speed loaders, without anything extra. On their website right now, I'm pretty sure they're on clearance. They are only, let me find that note again. Those guys are only going for $361. So I could spend $300 to try to make this thing work, or $250, $300 to try to make this thing work on a bare bones setup. EPS it for $405 plus, HPA it for $550 plus, or $361 to just get another one of these. So unfortunately, nothing highfalutin or high grade is going to happen to this thing anytime soon. I'm just going to get a replacement for this, and this is going to get shelved. So I could rather HPA it or hot rod it or whatever I decide to do. But the first generation BCM Error employed by Rusty Shackelford is unfortunately kind of sort of going away for now. So I'm just going to set that aside. It sucks because it did perform well. It did perform well. Can't really complain about it much. Let me find my next set of notes. So, in the meantime, I have talked some quiet sponsors who probably prefer to be unnamed into loaning me, loaning me the money or buying this for me and letting me pay this back. But this is the Purple Monster. The Purple Monster, ladies and gentlemen. What is the Purple Monster? The Purple Monster is a Lancer Tactical Archon AEG with a Zebulon MOSFET and a Dean's connector. It's mostly polymer. I think even the butt tube is. I just got it. I just test shot it just to make sure it actually shoots BBs. I still haven't adjusted the hop up or zeroed all the little gizmos. I don't even know if that's necessary. But yeah, the Purple Monster, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, silent sponsors, and thank you, Lancer Tactical. My hope is to get back on the field super soon with this guy. Let me talk about a couple other things that are going on here. The accessories, the fun stuff. So we have the same mock suppressor that you've seen floating around on my BCM air guns. It's kind of AAC-esque. So that one migrated its way onto this gun. So when I returned those parts and got the in-store credit, I got in-store credit and got a bunch of accessories, which we'll talk about these later. But I have to talk about this one in particular because in that accessories package, I did get the EMG mock suppressor tracer unit that looks like a Surefire SOCOM. But the problem with this is the rail on this Lancer tactical gun extends too far out over the threaded portion of the barrel for that EMG mock suppressor to go all the way onto the barrel. I thought about going and getting a crush washer and then grinding that crush washer down to about half of its size so I can then at least get it most of the way on there, but I would still be taking away from thread purchase that mock suppressor would go on to. So I don't want to chance it. I'm just going to wait until I have a new BCM Error, and then that will go on it. So this will stay on this, as well as this Surefire dual fuel that I've complained about enough before. I just don't buy Surefire dual fuel. Everything else by Surefire seems to be fine. But that will probably also stay on this gun. I got this grip. I don't think I talked about this grip, but it's just a Magpul MOE. And then, of course, let's see if I get it close enough to the camera. And then we lose light. Yeah, I stippled it. Sorry, I'm losing light. But I stippled it on the front side there just to be grippier. And then in that return... sorry, get my mouse out of the way so I don't screw anything up. When I returned all those parts, I got all those... parts I was talking about in my previous video. I got a red dot. This particular one is a Sig Air Romeo red dot. I got the black peck and I got the UTG riser. So this is something I have to point out. This is the only teching I've had to do to this replica is the Picatinny section on the top of the receiver is different offset from the Picatinny rail on the top of the free float rail. So what that means is when you got this screw screwed in properly right here, these screws here fall into sections where there's already Picatinny teeth. So therefore, you have to do something like I did, is mark off the Picatinny teeth that interfere with these and then go back with a Dremel. Luckily, this is polymer, so it's super easy to work with. Go get your cylindrical, not conal, cylindrical sanding bit, and then sand those down. You could do it super easy. You could do it almost machine-like. Sand those down, and then the teeth on your UTG riser will not interfere with the Picatinny teeth on the free float rail. And beyond that, I got those cheap rubber covers because I hate having exposed Picatinny. When you live in a place where a bunch of shit's made of old wood, that old wood gets fucked up by Picatinny teeth dragging across it. So I put rubber guards here and back here. So that would be more protective. So the next thing I should talk about is, well, I got a PTS mag, super new PTS mag, but it seems to be working fine. Oh, I want to point out that the buttstock, the QD mount on this works really well. It feels like it's actually metal inside, or maybe it is polymer. I don't know if it's a metal insert or not. Mileage is going to vary over time. Sorry, that got way out of shot. But yeah, those actually work. I punched my sling into that, and then of course I salvaged the sling attachment point from the rail on the other gun. It's right there. So I can do the 1 point. It does have a sling attachment plate on the back of the gun here, but it is the one that's for HK style or mash hook style sling attachments. So I rather have to use my 2 point all the time, or take the 2 point off and put a 1 point on. I'd really like to just be able to use my 1 to 2 point convertible, but that's neither here nor there. At least I could put a sling on the friggin' thing. So with all that being said, I want to thank you guys again for swinging by. My plan is right now is to go out and have as much fun with this gun as I can and save up between now and sometime in summertime and get the new BCM Error. This will migrate onto that BCM Error. That BCM Error will get the tracer unit instead of this guy, and it will get one of those Surefire / Mod Light, or not Surefire, sorry, Streamlight ProTac 4 rail mount, and the Mod Light mod button. By the way you make those work is Arasaka makes a tail cap, and they also make M-lock rails, so this is going to be rolled over. It's going to be much like the one on my real life AR-15. And then before all that happens, I would like to get an NSR stock for this guy, the Lancer Tactical NSR stock, and use that for a while. And then if I really like that stock, that will probably also migrate on to that BCM gun. But yeah, if it isn't abundantly apparent so far, I'm not giving up on having a VFC BCM Error. It's just that the one that I have now is currently not going to work out. Hopefully life circumstances don't change in such a way that I have to get rid of that thing, because I'd really like to rather HPA it or hot rod it, just turn it into a really nice AEG. As a matter of fact, in the comments section, you guys should make recommendations. Should I HPA it with that Kythera UGS system by Polar Star that we were talking about, or should I get the Evike Performance Shop style upgrades for it? And any other recommendations or suggestions that you have, I would like to know. Go ahead and post down there in the comments. And in the meantime, thank you for stopping by, and I'll try to be back soon.